Okay, so this is going to be a quick video. You know me, if I say it's a quick video, it's probably going to go an hour, but it's actually a quick video. Okay, a lot of really cool technology. Now, something really strange is actually happening right now. I don't know if you can see this, but the energy that's throwing off from that circle is actually throwing out. You can see the energy, and it's actually in this area here. You can see it's sort of. I can see the energy. It's actually affecting the visual signal of the camera. I've not really experienced this before, but that's the amount of energy that's being thrown off by the sphere right now. It's actually amazing. And I'm just noticing this as I'm starting to shoot. So, but this is an intro. So as you know, I'm starting to put videos out there with a lot of this sacred geometry technology. These spheres, this copper sphere is basically throwing off an energy field, and it can be used for so many different things. Now, what I've done is I've taken one of my amethyst crystals and put it in there. And you can put crystals in these, you know, you can put photos of people, anything you want. But the way that this is designed, the way that that sphere is designed, is it's going to basically take, it's basically sending out positive energy in all directions. And it can take the energy of that crystal now, and it's sending that out in all directions. And if I back up, okay, it's getting clearer, but if I get really close in, you're going to see I'm starting to see fuzz, and I'm seeing that fuzz because of the energy field that's being thrown off by that. We're going to do a video with a gentleman named Jason. That's going to be coming up real soon, but as an intro, Jason is another artisan who's making this sacred geometry technology. Now, this All right. So we are here with Jason from MantraWorks and my dear friend Jessica, who is also has a background in the healthcare medical industry. And today we are checking out all the stuff that Jason makes by hand. And Jason, it was actually nice because I ran into you, I ran into the stuff that you're doing, and I'm looking for technology that really helps with frequency and energy around the home. And it could be anywhere, it could be around the home, around the office. But I really like the technology that gets into sacred geometry and the kind of technology that basically works 724. So with this type of technology, like with the spheres and the things we're going to start looking at, not only do these things look really cool and they're beautiful, but they're also handmade by you individually, but they also throw off that energy 724. So I was super excited to get a chance to meet you. We've exchanged emails over the last week or two. Jessica, do you want to hand me one of the little ones, or the little one? But these are basically, I'll take that other one too. I'm going to just show people here real quick. And Jessica, you can show them yours. You've got the big one over there. But this is some of the technology here. Isn't that cool? Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, and you've got it there too as well. So, so Jason, do you want to tell us a little bit? I mean, starting off, give us a little bit about your background, how you got started, and you know, what kind of got you into producing this type of I'm almost going to call it artwork, but creating these types of pieces that that throw off the energy. What got you into it, and kind of how did you get started?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to get these out into the hands of more people. So, really happy to be sharing with you today. My name is Jason Adams, and uh, it kind of seems like everything that I've done in life has led up to this point. So all of those pieces are kind of fitting together. I have a master's degree in music performance.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of time working with sound and recording and playing instruments and all of that stuff. And I hurt my low back during a summer job in college, and my mom had a low back injury, and she ended up having to have surgery. And I saw her go through that a few years earlier than mine, and I didn't want to go through the same thing. So I had a friend suggested, oh, why don't you try yoga and Pilates to, you know, strengthen your core and help your back heal. And so I tried a few exercises and it worked. And so I fixed my back. I'm in the library in Tucson. I moved to Tucson after college for a year, and I'm looking up for yoga videos to just kind of do some yoga at home. and I stumbled across Paramahamsa Yogananda's Autobiography of a Yogi,
Love that book.
which is a really good book if you.
Couldn't put it down when I first found it.
Yeah, so that was I was like, oh, this looks interesting, and I picked it up and started reading it, and it kind of blew my mind. It was like, whoa, there's all this more stuff to yoga than just exercises. And
Yes.
so that was my first introduction into like things like meditation. And it was actually really interesting for me because he talked a lot about Jesus, and coming from a Lutheran background, he was a good crossover for me to kind of tie in um, a lot of things that I knew about Christianity and what he was talking about with meditation. That uh, anyway, I really got into meditation, and from that influence and my music background, that I started getting more into chanting mantras because I really like the energy of sound and vibration. So I just started chanting mantras, and I started um, doing that. And then I did a yoga teacher training in Colorado at Shoshone Yoga Retreat. So at this, this is a full on ashram, and at their center, so their lineage, they work with Shiva a lot. So Om Namah Shivaya kind of became a mantra that I started working with. And from this yoga teacher training, I started meditating every single day. And after a couple of years, I moved to LA. I started doing massage therapy with clients. So I was doing yoga, working with musicians. So I was doing yoga for musicians. Then I started adding massage into it. So I was doing therapy for musicians, and kind of with everything that I was doing, I was chanting mantras in my head while I was working with massage clients. And at some point I just like started hearing, um, I was asking questions in my mind, and my massage clients started answering my thoughts. So we were starting to have this kind of really weird intuition stuff. And that just kind of turned into, I started doing energy healing with clients. I could actually feel energy and could manipulate it, and just turned into, now I'm chanting mantras. I'm starting to teach meditation classes. I'm an energy healer. And I just kind of started doing that for a while. And with COVID, when COVID hit, it just kind of destroyed a lot of stuff in California. So I moved out of LA, moved back to Nebraska, which is where I grew up. And we have access to a lot of large equipment growing up on a farm. So this is my opportunity to start doing some doing energy healing work by making energy healing tools.
Mm-hmm.
So about a year ago, I started kind of experimenting with making like, I have some around here, and I know you're familiar with it, Organite. So I would make
Yeah.
Organite pieces. So I really liked the energy of this, and I've actually been making Organite in Los Angeles for 10 years, so I've been familiar with this. But moving back onto a farm, I have access to being able to do welding and things. So one of the things with Organite is I started seeing people put tensor rings in their Organite pieces. And so I was curious and wanted to start looking into that. And so I bought some copper wire, started making some, and turns out, so I'm an empath, so I can feel people's energy, and I can feel angels and dead people and spirits. And when I started twisting the wire, I could feel all these angels and some of the gods and goddesses that I work with. I could feel them coming in and sending in their energies, along with, like, we're kind of working in unison together. Mm-hmm. And so I knew that there was a lot of potential with working with this. So I just kind of jumped full in and started experimenting with these. And so one of the things with tensor rings is you can't just take a copper wire and twist two together and then weld it back into a circle to make a tensor ring. It actually has to be a very specific length. So one of the things is you twist the wire, cut it to that specific length, then you fold it and weld it back together. So it's also super precise, where you're using calipers or using a really precise ruler to get that precise measurement. And that's kind of interesting that the copper is so conductive that it wants to absorb whatever energy that you're putting into it.
Mm-hmm.
You could make one of these that's let's say an incorrect length. It's still going to pull in the energy and the intention that you put into it. But if you use one of these specific one of these specific qubit lengths, there's a lot more potency and potential that it has by using the correct lengths.
Mm.
So I've kind of been experimenting with what lengths do different things and which ones work the best. And over this last year on the farm, I've been making these. I don't know if you can see in the top here. There's one. Well, it's just maybe off the camera. But it's a little bit darker. Well, I had that sitting outside in the garden all year, just seeing what it's going to do with enhancing plant growth. And so this last year, I've been doing a lot of experimenting with using it with plants, experimenting with water. And now I'm really getting into, now that I've kind of tried it with a few different people with healing with different injuries, doing a lot of individual healing work with these now.
Mm-hmm. What type of like back pain, shoulder pain? What kind of things have you seen them assist with?
So I personally actually have some pretty strong testimonials, and I'm not a medical doctor, so anything I say is not like medical advice. This is one of the things that I've used for my own healing. But with that said, so in Los Angeles, so this is maybe I want to say 3 years ago, maybe 4. I was walking my dog and I had another friend's dog, which is a pit bull, and we were going on a hiking trail. And so I had both of my dogs with me on leashes, and on coming up from the trail, coming up towards us was another pit bull that was off leash. That pit bull charged us, and basically there was a dog fight with these 2 pit bulls, and I couldn't get it broken up. So I reached in and literally pulled the jaws of this other dog off of the pit bull. And I had my finger bit as I was kind of doing that. Well, the range of motion, so it damaged my tendon. I still had some range of motion, so I didn't do surgery, but it was to the point where I probably lost about half of my range of motion. So it was my middle finger, and I could bend it a little bit more than halfway down. I couldn't snap my finger anymore. And so I just kind of let it heal on its own to see what it was going to do. And so I never did surgery. Well, it came back to maybe 80% of the strength that it had. And now I moved to the farm, and one of the other things that I really like to do is make really large scale sacred geometry pieces. So I was making a really 8-foot by 8-foot piece with steel rods. And so as I was picking this thing up and trying to move it, I pulled that tendon again. And I actually I lost about 90% of the strength that finger originally had. Well, so I just kind of thought that maybe that's not going to come back. And over the course of those next couple weeks, I did get a little bit of it back, but it was like maybe 70-80% weaker than what its potential was. And I couldn't snap my finger. And I started, over the next few months, I was making these tensor rings, and I was kind of experimenting with different things. And I had some of these on my wrists that I would wear as I went to sleep. And I had some finger rings on, and I had a couple rings on my finger. And so I don't know, when you have an injury and you just start to get used to it, you stop noticing it.
Right.
And that was kind of how my strength was in that finger, and I was just kind of used to that. Well, at some point, I don't know if I was driving and I gripped the steering wheel and my finger could get all the way around the steering wheel. And I don't know, at some point I just noticed, well, I actually have more range of motion in my finger. I can actually close my finger all the way. And I was kind of like, well, that's surprising. And I could snap my finger. And so, anyway, long story, just by wearing these on my wrists and my fingers, there really isn't anything else that I did specifically for this. I wasn't taking any specific herbs or anything. I probably I'm back up to like, say, at least 95% of my original strength. Like it feels like a normal finger again.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, tendons, it's not going to do the healing for you. What it actually is doing is it's pulling energy around you and it's allowing your body to do its healing itself.
Right.
So that's one good example. The other example is I actually fractured my L3 vertebrae. And so I've worked in a physical therapy office when I was doing massage therapy. I worked in a PT office for 5-6 years, part-time. So I have a lot of experience with rehab and kind of working with those similar type injuries. And so I was lifting something and broke my vertebrae. And for 2 days, I could not stand up. I literally was on my hands and knees. And so that was my opportunity to work with these. You can see I have some of these larger rings behind me.
Mm-hmm.
So I just laid some rings on the ground. I laid on my back with my feet up on the sofa, and I did some traction. So just decompressing your spine. And so I knew some of the exercises that I could be doing. There isn't anything the only thing that you can do for treatment with this is if you need surgery, you do that. But if you don't, then you just need to make sure you're not twisting or doing anything poorly with your core. So I had a brace on just to make sure that I wasn't, but it's just a matter of time for that to heal because I didn't have any nerve sensation, any tingling going down my legs or anything. So I knew the nerves were fine. It was just a matter of the bone healing. And so that healing estimate is that I was given was 10 to 12 weeks. Within 3 weeks, I felt completely normal. I could not tell that I still was careful with not lifting anything heavy because I really wanted it to absolutely make sure it was fully healed. Right. But I could not tell at all. Within 2 weeks, I felt really great. And 3 weeks, I couldn't tell anything. So it's really helped me speed up my own healing process. So I can see it doing things like that. That's kind of on a healing basis. Mm-hmm. If you think of just the energy that this gives you access to, it actually works really well with plants. So if you put a ring around a plant, or if you put one of these spheres, I call them Gayatri spheres because I'm chanting the Gayatri mantra.
Right.
But if you put a Gayatri sphere in the center of a garden or something, it's going to radiate the energy out. So it's intensifying the energy, and you literally can notice plants. So living in Southern California, you probably know a jade plant. So I have a couple jade plants that I brought back to Nebraska with me, and I have 2 in the windows, and I put a ring around one and not around the other. And the top leaves of this plant, they kind of, as they grow, they droop down a little bit. Well, the top leaves, the next morning, they were like pointing like straight up. So it just like, you could tell it had more energy around that plant. Mm-hmm. And it actually sprouted new growth and the other one didn't. So I've done a lot of little experiments, just seeing how much energy it's like pulling in. So it definitely is doing things like that.
So, it's interesting because I did some research on some of this, and there was a gentleman in the 30s and the 40s and even into the 50s who had done work with Nikola Tesla. They were basically, communicating with each other. And they did those experiments and they put plants in these spheres, and the amount of growth that those plants got was astronomically way more than the ones that were not in it. And That was being done in the 30s and 40s with these spheres, and some of those were actually like the one behind you and even bigger. And I'll put some of those pictures out there, but there really was documented science showing that those energy fields coming from those spheres were really producing enough tangible energy where it really did have a huge impact on plant growth.
Yeah. So on that topic, I haven't done any where so you can do like plant testing where you can have kind of side by side where you're actually documenting the growth, the numbers, like you can measure the number of leaves and you can measure the height, the growth and height and all those things where you can scientifically keep track of that and keep records.
Right.
There is a greenhouse in Lincoln that at some point I really would like to do some more formal kind of testing with this where we can actually document how much this is influencing
Absolutely. Put a
growth.
greenhouse or something maybe.
Yeah. Yep.
It helps with it can assist with pain, discomfort, joint pain, mending, healing, general health and wellness, certainly with plants. But all the people that have been involved in this type of technology with making these also, and you touched on it earlier, is a tool that enhances manifestation.
Yeah. So, well, my background, I have done a lot of work with chanting mantras. So, one of the things that kind of differentiates, so there are a handful of people out in the world that are making tensor rings like this. So I'm not necessarily the only person that's offering these, but one thing that differentiates mine with all of the others is I have a big background with chanting mantras, and as I'm making these, I'm infusing that energy into these rings. So the Gayatri mantra, if you're not familiar with this, the Gayatri is, let's say it's a sun or a solar mantra. So it's kind of working with the energy of light. And there are, if you think of like the earth as being on a 3D plane, there are lower vibrational energies than where we are on earth, and there are higher vibrational planes and energies. So the Gayatri sphere, the Gayatri mantra, if you're chanting that, you can do a long version where you're actually invoking the 7 lokas, the 7 spiritual planes. So I'm invoking all of these higher energies, these higher dimensions, and kind of pulling them down into our physical earth plane, putting that energy into these copper spheres that are storing it for us. So it's giving us access to this pure healing energy, but it's the Gayatri is considered an enlightenment mantra because it literally is working with light, but it gives you access to this energy where it actually can raise your consciousness up. So speaking of like manifestation, working with crystals and things, these spheres actually work really well with that. And so this, if you can see this, this is a manifestation quartz. So this is one of my own personal.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's beautiful.
So it's a clear quartz, and then it has, I'm not sure what the additional stones that are in it are, but this is a manifestation quartz. So what I will do with this is actually use it with a Gayatri sphere, and you can place it like inside of this. So with these smaller rings, with the smaller spheres, they work really well where you can actually put it over your wrist. So they're collapsible. So you can take this and kind of compress it down, put it on your wrist, and you can you can wear and absorb that energy. But what I'll do is you alternate day and night. So let's say I'm trying to manifest something into my life. You can, if you want to wear it during the day, you'll use the crystal in the evening. So somewhere on my kind of altar area, I'll put this ring and with the crystal, and then I'll kind of close up the sphere around it. and I'll say my intention. So you can write this on a piece of paper,
Hmm.
or if you want to just think the thought, just thinking it, this is going to, um, just like a crystal, they can be programmed. So you can
Hmm.
program these with your intention, with your thoughts, with whatever you want to work with. So whether this is manifesting something, or a healing kind of intention, um, or programming them to work specifically with helping your plants grow. Um, but I'll put this crystal and give it my intention, and then let it sit there overnight. And then in the morning, you'll come back, take the ring, and put it on your wrist and wear it throughout the day. And then you're kind of like, just talking about this, I can actually feel the energy go into my hand and my arm. So it really is a cool concept. And if you're an empath, if you're really sensitive to energies, you will, like, 100%, you actually will feel tingling sensations. You'll feel kind of the energy shift with these. So it's really pretty cool. So that's one way. The other way is, let's say you actually want to. One of the things that I think the when we are manifesting things is, a lot of these things happen overnight while you're sleeping. So I will charge this during the day. So I'll set this over the counter and give it my intention. And then before you're going to bed, then I'll take this out, put it on my wrist, and sleep with it. So
Hmm.
you're literally absorbing the energy overnight while you're sleeping. So your unconscious self, your subconscious mind, is kind of working in unison with this. So you're kind of pulling in that, more of that potential subconscious energy that we have.
Right. And I would say, for yourself, because you do so much meditation, and, the biggest thing with intention is being able to focus the mind, right? And the problem nowadays is that we're being distracted so much that focusing the mind is another skill set that we really have to work on to develop, because we're just so scattered, moving all over. And obviously, for somebody like yourself doing the mantras and having that spiritual background with that, it does really help you do that. But what you touched on earlier, which is writing down the intention, for anybody out there that's watching the video that's getting started into this type of technology, or into this type of I guess technology is probably the best way of saying it. I would absolutely write it down. I would absolutely write it down and then put it in there, because then you're concentrating that energy. And when you get into different things with thoughts and intention, you're basically dealing, your thought in your mind is producing electrical energy, actually plasma energy, when you're putting out that focus, and you're developing that it's almost like electricity. You're starting off at 10 volts, but as you get better, you can generate 30 or 40 or 50 or 100, because you're learning how to concentrate that energy into a very small focused area, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So that is a skill set that we all have, but we don't use it a lot. And so, in order to get the best result for your time and effort, in addition to the way you're doing it, writing it down is certainly very powerful. And we're
Well, there's
talking. Go
also
ahead.
one other aspect with that is, you're creating consistency, and
Mhm.
that's enhancing your focus. So if you write it down, you can say it, like you can read it out loud, like say read it 3 times. If you can do this every day, remind yourself to do it every day, write that intention, like you have it written down, but then you read it and you read it exactly the same.
Right.
That's also increasing the amount of focus that you're putting into it, because your thought is, you're repeating the exact same thoughts over and over
Right,
again. So
right.
yeah.
And what they would say in Vedic terms is, they would say you're engaging more of your senses, right? So when you write
Yeah.
it down, you physically are touching it, you're visually seeing it, you're audibly saying it, and then you're thinking it. So by getting those additional ways to engage, by engaging the senses into that same goal, you're enhancing the ability to achieve that outcome.
Yeah.
So
And this is kind of a meditation type thing, but creating the same, utilizing the same atmosphere puts your brainwave frequencies into the same space. So if I
Mm,
were to say, let's say you're really new to meditation and you want to try it, and you want to be successful at it. You want to set yourself up for success. So if you can meditate at the same time every day, um, kind of create the same environment. So maybe you grab some incense and light a
mm,
candle and do the same practice every single day. Those are things that if you do this consistently, you will actually start to notice, like, let's say I get in that routine and 2 weeks into it, I sit down into that same spot and your brain waves will actually drop into, wherever you're meditating at. Um, you just are like presetting yourself to get into that same space. So if you're working on manifestation with one of these, and you do this practice consistently, you actually are creating more and more focus by doing
mm,
it very
right.
consistently. And that's not always easy. A lot of us,
Yeah.
there's a lot of, I mean, I lived in LA for more than 15 years, and so many people are super, super busy,
Yeah.
and it's not easy.
It's
But,
not.
but if you can, the more you can do that, the more you're setting yourself up for success
Right.
with that.
Right. So, okay. Number one, I just have to say, I love this technology. I love what you're doing. It just like gets me so happy and so excited. Now, we're gonna address. I guess today we're gonna actually go over 6 products. There's more. We were talking about the tetrahedron and some of the other stuff, which we're gonna get
Yeah.
into. But I don't want to overwhelm people with too much stuff at once. But let's
Yeah,
talk.
really working with this technology is um, get your feet wet.
Yeah.
So get one product and try it out and see how you like it, because the different things that I am making now and offer, they have they can all work together and in like really good synergy, but they
Right.
also have different maybe a slightly different focus.
Right.
So the Gayatri spheres really are a great start or an introduction to people, because it's something that the intention is to radiate out that energy in all directions. So you can have it in your home, just kind of energizing your entire home, or something that you wear on your wrist or something. And some of the other products may be more of a wearable, where the intention is for you to wear it all the time.
Right.
Or so this actually is really nice kind of encompassing tool. Yeah.
So let's start first with the sizes. And Jessica she loves the stuff. She's got everything over there at her little cubicle. But let's start first. Do you want to show them the big one, the large one? Let's show them the large one. So
Oh
that
yes.
is that's the largest spear that you gave me. So tell us a little bit about this size and this model.
Yeah, so I have one here too. This is, if any of you are familiar with copper wire or with wire sizes, this is not the most heaviest duty wire that I will offer, but this is a 6 gauge wire. Um, so this is the large one. The intention really is to create um, a large influence of energy. So one of the best examples is if you live in, let's say, like Los Angeles, where I was at. If you live in a large city with a lot of, I mean, if you pull up your phone or your laptop and you see 20 different Wi-Fi signals, you're getting hit with a lot
That's
of
right.
EMF
That's
radiation.
right.
And so one of the things to realize with EMF is our bodies are electrical. So we don't want to have some kind of technology that shuts off all EMF radiation, because that would actually do harm to ourselves. We actually want to transmute this energy into something that is non-harmful, something that maybe can be enhanced, that actually helps bring our body up to optimum health.
Mhm.
So that's kind of maybe one of the ideas. With the larger you get, the heavier gauge wire um, is going to put off more energy. So I will use the large one if you had, like, if you actually are a farmer or working with plants and growth, or a vineyard or something like that, where you're um, want to influence a lot of your acreage, this would work well for something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know somebody that has a brewery. So this is kind of putting that energy into all of their beer that they're producing.
Wow.
Um, so you can do things like that where you're influencing this whole big space. The Yeah, I guess that's all I really would say about that. The middle size one, uh, we talked just a few minutes before we started recording today, and Jessica had mentioned, um, just like we were kind of talking about this, the medium size one. Uh, I really like holding this, and like just like what how she picked it up and is doing with her hands, like
Mm-hmm.
holding this in my hands and then bringing it to my heart, and just like, I don't know, for me this feels like it's the perfect size to hold in my hands like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so this one, um is kind of almost like a crossover one. I think it's heavy duty enough wire where, um there's enough energy in this that this will radiate throughout your entire home and influence your neighborhood. So if you have a lot of that EMF radiation from other Wi-Fi and other, um, the that kind of radiation,
Mm-hmm.
this is going to help, um, protect and ground you a little bit from some of that. So this is going to offer some of that. But this one also can be used like individually. So this one I feel is more, if I, me personally, because I've made the different sizes and I've kind of worked with these and tried them
Right.
out.
Yeah.
This one I think has the, um, most energy. If I'm working to manifest something, this is actually the size that I would prefer.
Okay.
And so this really is just more a matter of, if you can afford this size to have in your home, I really like this size.
What size is that?
So this is the 7 inch.
Seven
This
inch.
is
Okay.
yeah, this is
And that is really thick. That is thick wire that you've got on that.
yeah, this is 8 gauge wire. So, um,
Mm-hmm.
as I'm making these rings, it's actually kind of really difficult to form these into circles. And I don't know if you can see these. If you get some pictures up on your website and
I
everything,
will.
you can see, the rings actually are interwoven. So you can see what, as the rings go over, they cross over and under and over and under, and each one of the rings. This is a Genessa crystal kind of shape or a pattern with the four circles, four rings.
Right.
So, um, anyway, this one is shaped more to hold this shape, and it is actually collapsible, but I generally recommend to keep, like, if you can get it into its kind of perfect shape, not to mess with it, because
Yeah.
the more you move it, you actually will loosen it up a little bit. So
Yeah.
so this will hold its shape really well as long as you aren't moving it around a lot.
Yeah.
So this one I really like for your, to kind of have a centerpiece for your home.
Yeah. And these
And
are they look really good in a home as decoration.
yeah. So, if you've got a large home with high ceilings and everything, you definitely, you could go with one of the large ones, and this would look really great hanging from the ceiling or something.
Yeah.
Um, at some point, I think it would look really cool around a hanging light or something. So maybe I'll experiment with that at some point. But,
Yeah.
um, so this could be kind of something that you would hang from the ceiling or something. This one you definitely can also hang, but this one works pretty good if you set it on a table or
Mhm.
like an altar space or something. If you've got like a place where you meditate, I'll put it, I'll keep it there and keep a crystal inside of it. And so an intuitive, a psychic friend of mine, what he told me, when he felt the energy of the rings that I'm making, and you put a crystal inside of it, he said it feels like it enhances the energy of a crystal by 100 times.
Oh
So
wow.
he said it significantly
Hmm.
like they work synergistically together, but he said they significantly enhance each other's
They
energy.
do. That's exactly right. And Oh man, I hate to do this, but Jason, I gotta ask you, man, will you please pull that tetrahedron down and just show us that? We'll get into that
Yeah.
on the next call, but I just want to show them, this, and by the way, the gentleman that was working with Tesla that did all the studies that had the documented science was Dr. Walter Russell, just for the record. And I'll have pictures, but that is absolutely beautiful. And that sacred geometry with that sphere in the middle. And then you've got that copper, which is doing exactly what you said. It's enhancing the energy of the device. And it's basically taking that energy from that crystal, amplifying it, and then sending it out in all directions. And I've always, yeah, that is just super cool. That is just super cool. And
Yeah. Yeah. So these I'm not offering yet. I'm playing around with what size do I really want to make them at
yeah,
and finding the right size crystal and everything. But these at some point, if we get into offering them, these will be great because the center here, it's got this coil where you can pop in a spherical crystal, and it doesn't have to be like just one crystal that you work with. You could actually, so this one that I have in here is a red jasper. So the jasper can potentially help you with grounding with the root chakra energy. So I really like this one. If you're working with a star tetrahedron, if you're familiar with Drunvalo Melchizedek, he kind of taught activating your energetic body, so your aura, the energy around you. We actually have this sacred geometry field around us, and it's for the vast majority of us, it's dormant. So we actually can turn this on. And so we have one triangle that's spinning clockwise, and then this top triangle that's facing down spins counterclockwise. So you actually have this vortex that's spinning around you. And when you are able to kind of activate and turn on that energy, it just kind of enhances. Oh, there's some sacred intention wind chimes.
beautiful.
It kind of enhances your auric field, and you can just feel more vibrant, more radiant. So, but working with these, with these spheres that we've got, these we definitely could put a crystal inside where we're kind of using this coil and pop in a crystal too. I just haven't started making them that style yet, but that may be a possibility. If there's interest in that, send Sean an email or a message and let him know that you actually would like that kind of a style, and we can definitely look at making some more like that. But these at some point I really like working with this, so at some point we should be offering these too. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jessica is like a little kid at Christmas. She cannot put down her favorite one, which is the small sphere / bracelet. And so, Jason, do you want to tell us a little bit about that one, and what size rings are those?
Yeah. So one thing I'm going to kind of spring on you is the small sphere that fits around the wrist. I actually can make them in 3 slightly different sizes. So the one that I sent you and that you have is the middle size, I guess.
Okay.
And this one, like Jessica, I don't know how it feels to you fitting on your wrist, but when you put it on your wrist, does it want to fall off, or does it feel like it fits pretty good? You can actually put it on and then kind of like stretch it back out a little bit so it stays on better. But for some women, if this feels too big, I can make one that's a little bit smaller size. So we could offer a smaller size, we could offer the middle size, and then if you do have people that want something that's even bigger than that size, I have one that's just a little bit larger. And that could be like, if there's a man that has really large hands or something, we could do it like that. But anyway, this middle one that you have there, this is a harmony energy. So the energy that is in this one works really well with plants. It connects to the earth energy and is very grounding. So we were kind of talking about ADHD, that I do feel like these can can be something that you can kind of fidget with and like play around with, but it has that energy built into it that it actually is helping us pull our energy down and stay grounded.
Hmm.
And like myself living in LA for 15 years, that was one of the things when I saw a client, I I literally could recommend to somebody that, oh, we need to work on more grounding energies for you. Without me even seeing them, I could say, like, that almost was a fact that I could say to people.
Hmm.
So I know people need a lot more work with grounding. Unless
Hmm.
you actually are, you know, touching the earth on a daily basis or something like that, most people do need more grounding energy. So
Hmm.
I know you do offer the like a grounding sheet that you can put on your bed,
Yeah,
things like that. This can work really well in a similar fashion to that. But this I really like because it's something that you can wear. It's not
exactly.
it's not literally grounding you to the earth, but it's energetically I can feel it pulling my energy down.
Right. And the earth energy being the Schumann resonance, which is the 7.83 hertz, it's very likely that the frequency that that's putting off is more of a grounding frequency that's maybe in that grounding frequency range.
Well,
Um,
it's kind of interesting if you bring that up. The Earth has been going through a lot of changes lately,
mhm,
and if you look at the 7.83 isn't necessarily a viable number anymore because it's
mhm,
the Earth is fluctuating so much now. So this is one of the cool things that the smaller size that would work for women, like my hands are just small enough that I can squeeze it onto mine,
yeah.
but it definitely would fit most women if you have smaller size hands. This one, so there's another frequency, another length that is a tiny, tiny fraction longer than this one. And that frequency, um, for people that are making tensor rings, they call it 333 because it was giving off this 333 hertz. So anyway, this has a direct connection with the resonance of the earth. So if it actually is the Schumann resonance, potentially. Um, but anyway, that one is connected to the resonance of the earth. And we noticed, well, I didn't necessarily notice, but at some point the earth's frequencies are kind of shifting and the length that is corresponding to the earth kind of shifted. Well, so speaking with the psychic friend that I have, we now understand that that other 333 has more connection with the alien energies on the earth. So if you as a person um feel really connected, like if you feel kind of alien in a sense, if you don't really feel human and you don't kind of feel connected to the human race, and maybe you do have some like alien DNA and all of that, that 333 hertz will feel more resonant to you.
Mhm.
But this other size is called the Earth resonance qubit, and this actually is the newer Earth frequencies. So this is tiny of a fraction shorter, smaller than the other one, but this one actually is connected to the new frequencies that are coming into the Earth. So just bringing, since you brought up the Schumann resonance, this is kind of interesting. This one actually does have a connection to the resonance of the Earth.
That's
So
awesome.
the one that you have, harmony, is very grounding. The smallest one, also has that similar kind of direct connection to Earth. So it's
Mhm.
this one. When I put this one on, I feel my energy being pulled straight down into my root chakra. I feel it can activate your Kundalini. So especially if you're a female and you want to wear something and you want to work with Shakti and working with raising your energy and moving energy, if you want to, well, I guess that would help with manifesting and things because you're pulling in more energy and you're moving it throughout your body.
Mhm.
This one definitely will do that.
So when we started the call, I introduced Jessica as being in the medical industry, which is true. She's worked ICU, CCUs, or RN in the most intense place of a hospital, but she's also very much into energy Reiki. She's a yoga instructor. So, and we just got these yesterday. But Jessica, you've had them now for you've had give us some feedback of what you think, your personal feedback on it, since you've had your hands on them now and been able to kind of mess with them for the last hour or so.
Sure. Well, I'm also able to feel energy, and I know what energy feels good and what doesn't feel good. And when I first held it, it definitely felt pretty heavy. I could tell that I definitely wasn't giving off good energy myself. And then, I've been holding it for about an hour and playing with it for about an hour, and it definitely has changed my energy field. So I can definitely tell a difference.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So,
cool.
so you've got the bracelet slash one. What would your feedback be as far as like, would that be something that you would enjoy wearing? Is that something that you would, for jewelry and whatever? I mean, Jason, the thing I love about it, you were talking about hanging the big ones from the ceilings and that.
Hmm.
And I love people, but I love functional artistic stuff as well. And I could just tell you, if I had that thing in my house, 50% of the people, I would say, this is really cool and this is what it does. And I would explain it. And the other half the people, I would say, yeah, that is a really cool piece of art. And I would move them off into something else. I wouldn't even really need to dive into it because I know that they're just not ready for that message, or they're just not in that space. But when
Well,
you have functional, go ahead.
yeah, just speaking on that, that's the cool thing about these, that I don't know, if you want to know how they work, great. We can talk about that and we can
Right.
learn more about that. But for me, as an empath, I'm more just interested in actually feeling the energy. And if
Right.
I feel it doing something, that's all I need to know. Like, it actually is work. I can feel it working. So
Mhm.
I don't necessarily need to know how it works. I just as long as I can, feel, or if there's some way for me to identify that it actually is working.
Right. And so knowing that it has functional value as like a device that's putting off and emitting positive, good energy, helping manifest, helping to focus energy, helping to send energy in the body, do all these different things. But and like say my mom, who I love dearly, love my mom to death. But if my mom came into my house and saw it, I would say, yeah, that's really cool. I probably wouldn't get too far into the metaphysical properties of it, but just the fact that it looks cool and it, would look really good, in a living room or a bedroom or wherever you'd use it. That's like the double
Yeah.
bonus. That's where it's
All you'd
like,
have to say is this is a genesis crystal, and it's a really cool shape. If you actually look at it, you have alternating
yep,
triangles
that's
and
right. Yep.
squares.
Yep.
And it's by using four rings, you can actually make that sacred geometry shape. You don't even have
Right.
to call it sacred geometry. It's a geometrical shape.
Right.
But you can just talk about, oh yeah, it's a really cool pattern.
Right. Well, it's rectangles and squares embedded into a sphere,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So like it's all those things in one.
So
And
you actually, if you were making it in a different way, it wouldn't work with these. But oh, how do you describe it? You could take, if you have like plastic tubes and little attachments where you can attach the ends, and the plastic is somewhat pliable, you could actually spread this out over the ground and make it into this pattern of triangles and squares, then fold it all together and attach them. So like, there actually is kind of a fun way that kids could play with this geometric shape,
mhm,
where you can kind of see how it can be made like that. Yeah.
right. Now you were very kind. You sent us some other little creations that you've made. And well, Jessica's already based, one is already Jessica's. She's already established the fact that the ring is hers. Let me just, I'm going to put it on my side over here just so they can see it up here, actually.
Yeah, so that's a fingering, and
Finger ring.
we can do the fingerings in a lot of different sizes. So that one is a golden fire energetic. So that is some of the newer energies coming onto the earth, but that is like pulling in light energy. The golden fire doesn't have as large of a energetic influence. It's more of a kind of a personal energy, but it can help raise your vibration, kind of energetic. But
And
finger rings are really great because you can wear them all the time, and you like you're just going to be getting that little bit of charge all the time.
right.
And just keeping in mind, speaking of wearing these are made of copper, and there's no lacquer or anything that I'm putting on these, so it's bare copper that's actually touching your skin, so that can discolor your skin a little bit. If you wear a ring all the time in one spot, you may notice it, like copper, as it gets moisture in the air and as it oxidizes, it will turn green. So like the Statue of Liberty is actually pure copper, but it's not a copper color because it's been outside in the atmosphere, in the environment, and exposed to moisture and air. So these will do the same thing too. You can polish them, clean them back up, but just keep that in mind, that if you're really worried about, oh, this ring turned my finger kind of a darker greenish color in that spot, that's what it's supposed to do. And you actually can tell that your body, well, it's a lot of people will say that if your body needs to absorb copper, you'll actually notice that discoloration.
Right.
If you don't need to absorb copper, like if you actually have enough copper in your system, then you shouldn't notice much. So that may or may not be true. There's also it's obvious that if you are somebody that perspires a lot in your hands and you have sweaty hands, you definitely will have more discoloration than if you have dry hands. So anyway, that's just something to keep in mind. Nothing wrong with that. Your body is really good at regulating how much copper you get in your system, but just by wearing them, you're not going to get too much.
This thing's cool. This is actually, I'm just showing it. You could actually, could be worn as a pendant. This is, what is this? This is the infinity pendant?
Yeah. So I'm also wearing I don't know if you can even see this one. But I'm wearing the same pendant that you have. This is just a sphere, just a circle. And yours is a circle, but it's twisted into that infinity, the eight symbol. So these have the same energetics. These not really a whole lot that needs to be said. This is, you can put your intention into them and then wear them all the time. So you can take it off if you want as you sleep. You can wear it 24/7. That doesn't really matter. But these, you can charge them up, and it's just going to help keep your vibration up.
Super cool, super exciting. And then we'll finish off with this. You gave me this also, which this is a manifestation wand, I guess, or
well, these are so one of the things that we haven't gotten into with these, we've got a couple different sizes and they have different energetics, but with wands, so I actually have 6 different sizes. So some of them are really pretty long, and like the one that you have is the shortest one that I have. That one is I guess I would say a more standard or kind of a generic type of a wand. So we have a mini version, which is what you were holding up, and then we have a large version. So the large version, if you are like a Reiki healer, energy healer, massage therapist, or something that's working with clients, and you want to actually wand your clients, you actually can push energy with these wands. So what I will do is, you're holding the wand in your hand, and then I may be chanting a mantra as I'm doing this, but you can just wand in a clockwise, just make little circles around whatever you're sending. And that's the spiral that we are twisting these wires into. You can kind of see that actually is helping to push the energy in whatever direction. And also, because I am an energy healer and can kind of feel the energy, I'll take the chakra that you have in the center of your palm, I'll use that as where I'm pushing energy through and then directing it through the wand. So you literally can use this as an extension and enhancer of your own energy healing. So if you are not an energy healer and you want to kind of work on your own personal healing, you can do the same thing. You just wand yourself. You can wand your friend or your family member. Um, the large ones have more energy. I actually really like wearing this as a pendant. You can the mini ones. I kind of had the intention of making these as something personal that you can put on a string on a pendant and wear this, and you can see the way the spiral is as you're wearing it. It actually is helping to pull the energy around your aura and help raise your vibration. So it actually will help you feel more vibrancy.
That's super cool.
So talking about the 6 different sizes, there's one size that is, oh, I'm right now I'm calling it the Christ consciousness wand because it does feel very similar in energy frequency as Jesus. Um, so it kind of brings that vibration into your space. The little bit larger size is a divine feminine frequency, and the largest one is the divine masculine frequency. So one works if you want to pull in more feminine energy into your space and work with feminine energy, you can use one of the feminine wands. If you want more masculine energy into your life, you can use one of the masculine wands. So you can use these like with manifesting. So if you want to manifest a partner, one of the things, like say you're a woman and you want to find a man that like your ideal man, you can grab one of the divine masculine wands and kind of put your intention, and this actually is going to help pull masculine energy into you so that you can identify with that energy, and it kind of is helping attract that to you. If you need more feminine energy, you can wear a feminine wand to pull more feminine energy, and that will kind of help like the play. There's different ways you can play with these, but one will enhance masculine energy, one will enhance feminine energy. And so I'm invoking a lot of gods and goddesses, chanting masculine and feminine mantras into these, and so there's a lot of stuff that we can play with these. So those are to be coming soon.
Coming soon. Well, Jason, this is our first introductory call with you, and we're going to make you, we'll bring you on and do regular bits, and we'll go into more of the technology and more of the other products that you've got. But before we sign off, I just want to throw it back over to you, Jessica. Do you have anything else that you'd like to comment on or say about this before we sign off with Jason?
No, just pleasure meeting you.
Super happy. Well, Jason, I want you to know, and it's so great that Jessica's here because you can see where some of these items you sent have found a new home, and Jessica loves them, and she's into the energy and like into the Reiki and yoga and that. So that's awesome. And before we do sign off, is there anything else that you'd like to say, anybody? Now, one thing I will say is that anybody watching the video, if you're interested in any of these items, we'll have them posted on the website. We'll have pricing on there. One thing, Jason, I did want to say also is that one of the things I really love about these products is what I kind of started talking about initially. Number one, you get it in your house, 7/24, it's sending energy out. I know from studying this with other types of this technology that it does sort of help cancel out the EMF. So there's just so many benefits with it, but I like technology that is natural, that's handmade. I appreciate the hard work and the things that you do putting into this technology and building these by hand and putting the love and intention into those. And, honestly, I do like the fact also that this is not expensive. It's not technology that's going to, it's a great gift idea. We're getting into the holidays now. This is stuff that you can buy for friends, family, loved ones. And, it enhances the environment and enhances your aura. There's just so many positive things that come with that. So, that's one of the things that draws me to it. And then obviously meeting the person and knowing the thoughts and the process going into it. But with that being said, is there anything you'd like to say before we call it a call?
No, you summed it up really, really pretty great. Think of these as free energy devices. They literally are putting off energy all the time. So I think of them as enhancement devices. So one of the things that I've really learned that say, think of manifesting something, the energy that wherever you are putting your energy, that's what you're going to get more of.
Mhm.
So these are going to intensify that aspect of our lives. So whatever you think about when you're around these, this is just going to put off more energy that's going to influence that. So the more uh, intuitive or more psychic or more energetic that I've kind of become, I've realized you have to be more and more diligent with having the thoughts that you know, we sometimes can get into thought processes of being down on yourself and being hard on
Mhm.
yourself, and whatever, being, even if it's like being depressed or having depression, or like whenever you go through those phases, and whether that's all the time or on a daily basis or infrequently, whatever, um, these are going to enhance whatever energy you're putting out there. So these are an opportunity to work with that energy that you're already vibrating at, and this can help bring them up. If you want to bring up your vibration to higher levels, we haven't talked to, I don't know, we've talked a lot about a lot of different things, but for me, being an intuitive and kind of working with angels and everything, like I actually feel the amount of non-physical beings that this gives you access to has, like, it's gotten denser for me. There are more higher vibrational beings that want to hang out around me,
Mhm.
like, since I've been making these.
And
So
you know what's interesting? I mean, I'll finish, but it all comes down to frequency and vibration. And we were talking about that earlier. And those entities, those angels, which are basically plasma energy, but they resonate at high frequency and they resonate in that frequency. So when you start tapping into the frequency level that they're at, it does connect you because they do not resonate in a fear, in a anxiety. They don't resonate in those frequencies. So as you can get your frequency higher, you're able to resonate with those types of entities. And
yeah, there's only so far you can go. So if they're at a, whatever vibrational level, they they can come they can come down, but we have to raise our vibration up to a certain level in order to detect their presence,
correct.
I guess.
Yeah.
So it does give you that. I mean, it's adding to that potent, like, potential, I guess, for us.
So Jason, it's what is today? What is today? The 30th
It's the
November?
last day of November. Yeah.
Dude, I am so excited right now because my Christmas is coming early. And this is the kind of stuff that, like, when I talk to you and I put in that order, I'm like, oh, I can't wait till this gets here. Now it's here. And this is the kind of stuff that I get excited, that just I absolutely love. And I'm blessed right now because I pretty much have exited out of the medical industry within the last week or two. I mean, I'll still have my feet in it forever, probably at some point. But this technology with the stuff that you're doing and many other, people that I'm getting a chance to meet, is just, to me, this is where my life's work is at, and getting this stuff out to the world. And I'm so grateful for people like yourself that have, turned this into your full-time living passion. And it's basically service to others, because when you're getting that technology out and you're helping people live healthier, happier lives, it just really creates a real sense of purpose and meaning. And
Yeah,
but
one thing adding on to that, that I'm personally really excited about, is that um, these spheres, because they're working with, like, electricity. If you think of an electricity grid across your country, whether you're in the United States or a different country, um, we've got these electrical lines that are connecting power plants, and it's the entire, and Wi-Fi or um, internet connections. We've got these kind of grids across the world now. We actually are able to energetically grid ourselves by working with these. One of the things is, because I'm making these and putting the energy in, everybody that has one of these is joining into this grid, and we're creating this healing environment. And the more that we can get of these out there, especially in large cities, the more we have the ability to kind of raise our vibration, and take a lot of the uh the lower vibration things, like, you know, there's been a lot of duality, a lot of fighting with politics, at least in the US, and the lower frequencies, fear and anger and those kind of energies, these are going to help pull us to higher vibrations. So I'm really excited about getting these out into the hands of more and more people. So put in an order.
That's right.
The more people we get these in the hands of, and the more you share these with your friends and everything, like that actually would be super exciting to me. So yeah.
Well, Jessica, thank you so Jessica is going to start being on more calls. Jessica's kind of working with me. She's got a lot of things going on, but as our business continues to grow, you know, there's people like Jessica, who's a friend, and someone that I know here in the area. But so I'm super happy that you were able to join us on our first call today. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing the Amazon truck with you.
That's right. Even though she had no idea that she was going to be on a Zoom call, I'm like, Jessica, come on over. We're going to get some stuff done. And then she gets here. I'm like, here's these spheres. We're going to talk to Jason. We just got them. She loves them. We're playing with them. And it's like, oh, by the way, here's this link. You're going to be on a Zoom call in 5 minutes. But it's good. But I love it. She just rolls with whatever's going on. But Jason, once again, thank you so much for everything you're doing. I greatly appreciate your time today. I greatly appreciate all the effort you're putting into creating these fabulous devices. And we'll have links down below. You can get them on the website. We'll have pricing down below. I know you make a lot of these by hand, but ballpark, you know, I would say, you know, for people when we're placing orders, you know, maybe give them about 2 weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks, 1 to 3 weeks, depending on, you know, how many orders are in and where you're at. But, you know, this is not stuff being mass produced in a factory. This is stuff that's being carefully done, one piece at a time, with intention, with love. So that's really where the whole thing is going. And that's where we're trying to push all of our energy and frequency is into a loving, healing, you know, environment. So Jason, once again, thank you, sir, for your time today. And we are going to look forward to seeing you again in the very near future and talk about more of your products.
Yeah, my pleasure. Really happy to chat with you, and looking forward to, for those of you that do grab one of these, if you have any feedback, I would love to hear what they feel like to you. And if you have any requests or anything, like if there's you know, a different size or something, if there's any special requests, we definitely can take that into consideration. And because these are handmade, so we definitely can put that personal kind of energy into these too. So
that's awesome. Jason, God bless you, sir. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. That's right. Bye now.